Grief is a fickle thing. It convinces people that moving on is a betrayal, that healing means forgetting, that love must hurt forever or it was never real at all. Some souls believe grief must be endured fully before it can be released. That sadness is a debt. That time spent broken is time well spent. Others move forward by accident, through routine, through strangers, through moments that arrive uninvited and change everything without asking permission. Neither way is wrong. But no one ever grieves alone, even when it feels that way. Owen worked the Ouija division on the 3rd floor of Purgatory Administrative Services. The room was long and narrow, lined with identical desks and identical boards. The lights hummed. The air never changed temperature except to drop. Desk 43 was his. The Ouija board in front of him sat dark and still, the planchette resting in its place. Above it, a small television screen waited for a signal. When the living made contact, the screen turned on automatically. The rules were simple. Answer clearly, stay neutral, end the session when the time expired. No emotional involvement. Owen had followed that rule for decades. He'd been in purgatory for quite a long time. He rested his hands on the desk and waited. And then the board lit. Letters flared softly, brighter than most first-time contacts. The television screen snapped on and settled into focus. A woman sat at a dining table in a small apartment. The room was dim, lit by a single lamp pushed off to one side. She looked like she had come straight home from work. Her shoulders slumped forward. Her hands hovered over the planchette, hesitating before resting on it. Owen leaned in and the planchette moved. Hello. Owen placed his fingers lightly against the board and guided the reply. Hello back. The woman's breath caught. She blinked hard and stared at the planchette like she was waiting for it to stop. But she responded after a time. My name is Lily. Owen guided the planchette. I'm here. Lily swallowed. Her fingers shifted on the planchette, testing it, pressing down and then easing up again. She said aloud, Okay, hi. I don't know if this is real. Owen watched her mouth move and form the words. A second line followed quickly before he could answer. I'm sorry, that sounded stupid. I'm sorry. The apology came out fast, her shoulders lifted, held, and then dropped. Owen moved the planchette with care. It's okay. Lily stared at that, then let out a breath that shook. Her eyes went wet. She looked away from the board for half a second, as if embarrassed by her own face, then looked back like she was afraid the connection would vanish. I don't usually do this. I bought this board and I kept it in the closet for weeks. I keep telling myself I'm not this kind of person, but tonight I got home, and I guess I am tonight. Owen's desk chimed softly. A small light in the corner blinked, indicating an active session had officially begun. He didn't look away from the screen. Around him, the department ran its own steady rhythm. Other desks lit up and dimmed. Other televisions flickered into life. The room had the soft noise of constant work, the way a place does when nobody ever clocks out. Above Owen's board, a narrow panel displayed a queue of incoming signals. Names didn't appear there. The living weren't logged that way. Instead, Owen's side tracked the waiting dead. Each soul assigned to Ouija work had a roster of unresolved contacts listed as pale, glowing tags that drifted up the panel and settled into place. Most of them were short, first names, initials, and some were just numbers. Tonight the queue was long. The tags glowed faintly, stacked in patient rows, waiting for their assigned desk to open. Owen was supposed to keep his pace, keep the line moving, and keep the division efficient. He glanced up at the queue, then back to Lily. Her hands tightened again. "I'm talking too much. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. I was hoping I could contact my son, Jonathan." Owen didn't move. "My son died." In the office behind the desk row, Supervisor Hector sat at a raised station with glass panels on 3 sides. Hector didn't need glass. The glass existed for the living imagination of punishment. And here, punishment came as reassignment, reduced privileges, and long stretches of silence. Hector looked up from his clipboard and scanned the floor. His gaze moved over the desks, lights, and screens to calm attention. Owen held still until Hector's attention moved on. Lily's hand shook. "He was 20. Owen guided the planchette. "I'm sorry." The desk timer blinked amber again, counting down. Owen could end it cleanly now, send the contact to another desk if it became too emotional, log it as bereavement counseling attempt, and move on. That was the standard route. Efficiency, safety, distance. Instead, he waited. Lily stared at the board and kept going. "His name was Noah." "I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm telling you this. You didn't ask." Owen moved the planchette. "You can tell me." It wasn't forbidden, but it wasn't encouraged either. Owen kept the movement controlled, slow enough to seem careful, not indulgent. Lily's face tightened. Her eyes squeezed shut for a second. "I don't talk about him like this anymore." She swallowed. "People don't want to hear it. They do at first, but then they don't, once you really get going." Owen watched her hands. The knuckles were pale. She was gripping the planchette like she might fall through the table without it. "Tell me about Noah," the board wrote. And Owen felt the first real tug of the line he was stepping over. Asking for details turned the session from transaction to connection. He could still pretend it was professional. He could still log it as supportive questioning. Lily's replies came in bursts, sentences landing and stopping and going on. He loved cars. He wanted to work with engines. He had a job at a shop for a while, and he came home covered in grease, and he was proud of it. She paused. Her mouth moved without the planchette for a moment, then the board caught up. He called me Lil, even when I told him not to. A small smile appeared and then left. He was supposed to come over the night it happened. He texted me he was on his way. Owen kept his finger steady. He watched her eyes drop to the board, then lift to nothing in front of her. I was at work. I didn't answer my phone right away when the call came in. I keep replaying that. I keep thinking that if I'd answered sooner, something would have changed. Owen moved the planchette. It wouldn't have been your fault. Lily's head shook immediately. I know what people say. I know the words. I just don't believe them. Owen felt the timer pulse at the corner of his desk. He still had time, but not much. He should wrap this up, close it, log it, and move on to the next waiting tag. His eyes flicked to the queue again. The glowing tags waited without complaint. Lily's next line came softer. I feel stupid for doing this. Owen guided the planchette. You're not stupid. She blinked fast again, tears sliding down her face without drama, just a steady fall. She wiped them with the back of her hand and then winced. Sorry, I'm sorry, I keep apologizing to nobody. Owen's hand paused on the planchette. He could have chosen the fast response. He could have spelled out, stop apologizing. He could have ended it there. Instead, he spelled slowly, "Not nobody." The planchette moved in a measured pace, letter by letter. Owen made himself take time with it, even though the speed was standard. Even though he could feel the cue, feel the supervisor's expectation. He watched Lily read the words. Her mouth opened slightly. She didn't speak right away. She stared at the board with a look that wasn't relief and wasn't disbelief. It was recognition. It was what happened when someone finally admitted she had been alone, and then for one moment tonight she wasn't anymore. "Okay," she breathed out. Then, after a pause, "Thank you." Owen moved the planchette. "You're welcome." Lily's fingers loosened. Her shoulders dropped again. She looked down at the board as if she was seeing it differently now. "I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life now." That question was dangerous. Owen knew it. It crossed into guidance. Not something that his division was supposed to give out. Leave that for the higher-ups. You don't have to know tonight. Lily stared at that for a long time, then nodded once. "I haven't gone into his room in days." "You can go when you're ready." "I don't want to forget him." Owen's fingers tightened on the planchette. "You won't." The timer chimed. Clean, sharp, final warning. Owen should have ended the session immediately. He should have closed it the second the chime sounded, no matter what was said, no matter what was felt. Lily's hands stayed on the planchette. "Are you going to be here again?" Owen's throat tightened even though he didn't breathe. He didn't speak, he didn't need to. His job lived in the movement of the planchette. "I don't know." But instead he wrote, "Same time tomorrow." The planchette stopped. Owen felt what he'd done. He'd felt the rule that he'd bent. Lily's eyes lifted toward the empty air above the board, then back down. She looked scared and grateful in the same breath. "Okay. What's your name, by the way?" He slowly spelled out Owen. "All right. Good night, Owen." "Good night, Lily," he spelled back. He ended the session before the timer could chime again. The board dimmed, the television went dark. Lily's hands lingered on the planchette for a moment after it went still, then she pulled them back. She sat at the table in quiet, candle still burning, tears still drying on her cheeks. Back in the Ouija division, Owen reset the board with automatic motions. He logged the session. He chose the nearest category that wouldn't draw attention, and he kept his description short. He marked no irregularities. His fingers hovered over the entry field for additional notes. He let it blink. The queue panel still glowed, tags still waiting, and Owen selected the next incoming contact and prepared to work it as usual. Before the board could light again, a shadow crossed his desk. Supervisor Hector stopped beside him, clipboard tucked under one arm. His expression stayed calm, his voice stayed polite. "Desk 43, Hector said. Owen looked up. "Your session ran long. Try to keep the line moving. There's a backlog." "Yes, sir," Owen said. The second night, Lily arrived at the same time. Owen noticed the board before it lit. There was a rhythm to the living world that bled faintly through the feed. Most contacts arrived scattered, inconsistent. Lily's didn't. The signal strengthened at the same minute it had the night before, steady and deliberate. The board glowed. The television flickered on. She sat in the same chair, the same spot at the table, work bag dropped at her feet. Her hair was looser tonight, and she set her hands on the planchette without hesitation. "Good evening, Owen," she said. Owen guided the reply. "Hello, Lily." Her shoulders relaxed. "I wasn't sure if you'd be here." "I said I would be." She nodded once. The third night she came again, the fourth night she came again at the same time. By the end of the first week, he could tell when she sat down the connection was so strong. The chair made a small sound when she pulled it out. It wasn't loud enough to come through the feed, but Owen imagined it anyway. He imagined the weight shift, the way she leaned forward before placing her hands down. Routine settled in quietly. Lily always arrived after work. Sometimes she still wore her shoes, sometimes she kicked them off first and tucked one foot under the chair. She didn't apologize as much now. Not for talking and not for crying. Tonight, she didn't start with grief. "My boss asked me if I was okay today." Owen waited. "I told her yes, but that was a lie." The board moved. "You don't have to be okay all the time." Lily huffed a small, humorless breath. "I wish people understood that." "Do people ever ask you?" Owen's hand stilled. He wasn't supposed to answer personal questions. That line was clear. But the question wasn't about his past or his death. It was about the present moment. "Sometimes," he wrote. Another night, she arrived quieter than usual. Owen noticed immediately. "I sat in his car today." Owen guided the planchette. "How was that?" "It still smells like him. And it hurts. It hurts. I thought about turning it on, but I didn't. He was gonna fix it up, the car. He had plans. He wanted to repaint it himself. He kept talking about the colors." "What color did he want?" "Green. Not bright, dark. He said it would look better that way." Owen pictured it. A car that never got repainted. A plan that stopped. She continued. He was gonna move out this year. We talked about it like it was a given. I still catch myself thinking I should remind him to do things." Owen's reply. "That doesn't stop right away." She nodded again. "I still haven't moved his shoes. They're still by the door, his second pair, right where he kicked them off." Owen imagined that too. Shoes waiting for feet that would never come back to them. "You don't have to move them," he responded. "I know. I just don't know when I will." That night, the timer blinked amber. Owen noticed it and ignored it. Lily was mid-sentence, talking about a job her son had almost taken. An apartment he had driven past once and said he could see himself living there. Owen stayed logged in. The cue panel to his left glowed brighter as incoming contacts stacked up. He didn't even look at it. He kept his focus on the board. Another desk chimed. Someone else's session ended and another living voice waited. Owen told himself he was doing his job well, that grief took time, that this was allowed. The lie was easy. It fit neatly into the rules if you didn't look too closely. On another night, Lily asked, "How long have you been doing this?" Owen hesitated. "A long time." "Longer than I've been alive?" "Yeah." "Do you ever get tired of it?" Owen's fingers hovered. "Sometimes. But not with you." The session stretched. Not dramatically, but long enough. Owen stopped taking the next call immediately when Lily signed off. He let the board stay dark for a few extra minutes. He stared at it and told himself he was resetting, recalibrating, preparing. The supervisor Hector passed his desk twice that week. Each time Owen felt the quiet weight of observation. Each time nothing was said. And Lily came every night. Some nights she talked about her son. Some nights she talked about work, about the weather, about nothing at all. Those nights mattered too. She started asking him questions more often. "Do you see a lot of people like me?" "Yeah." "Do they get through it?" "Not all of them." "I don't want to forget him." "You won't." "You always say that." "Because it's true." She smiled at the board. "Okay." Back in the Ouija division, Owen logged the session to minimize the window. He selected the next contact and answered it. But the work felt different now, the waiting felt different. He began to measure his shifts by Lily's arrival. Same time, same desk, same chair. Routine, he told himself, just routine. And if he stayed in a little longer for her, if he let a few glowing tags wait in the queue, that was fine, that was manageable. But by the third week, the routine had stopped feeling like routine. Lily still arrived at the same time each night, but now Owen felt the waiting in advance of it. He caught himself checking the desk clock even though time here barely mattered. He noticed the subtle shift in the board before it lit. And when the screen flickered on and Lily appeared in her chair, relief settled through him so quietly he almost missed it. They talked about her son often, but not the way they had at first. The stories had softened. They lingered on details now, on things that made him feel present rather than absent. One night, without warning, Lily said, "I think about this all day." "About what?" "This. Talking to you." The words settled between them, heavier than anything she had said so far. "I catch myself watching the clock at work. I know what time it is when my shift ends. I know how long it takes me to get home." Owen realized with a slow clarity that he did the same thing. That he measured his shifts not by the number of contacts handled or logs completed, but by how close he was to speaking to her again. He wrote her carefully. "I look forward to it too." The truth of it settled fully then. He didn't just enjoy their sessions, he dreaded their endings. Each time the board dimmed, he felt a quiet loss. Lily stared at the board for a long moment. "I didn't mean to let it become this important. It just did." They didn't call it love, not yet. But it lived there. In the way Owen spelled more slowly when the conversation mattered, and in the way Lily lingered even when she had nothing left to say. The first sign came quietly. A notification Owen had never seen before appeared at the edge of his screen. A soft blue icon pulsing once before disappearing. A system flag. Not a warning yet, but notice. The second sign came in the form of Supervisor Hector standing beside his desk when Lily's session ended. Owen, walk with me. They moved down the corridor together, past a desk and glowing boards and the steady hum of Purgatory at work. Hector didn't rush, he never did. He led Owen into a small office with a single chair on either side of a plain metal table. You know why Purgatory exists. Owen nodded. It exists to prepare souls like you and me to move on. To resolve attachments. To loosen what binds them. To purify them. Yes, sir. And what happens when a soul forms a new attachment? Owen didn't answer. It slows the process. It anchors them. It defeats the purpose of the work. Hector slid a tablet across the table. Owen didn't need to look to know what was on it. Session durations, repeated contacts. The same name living appeared every night. I'm not angry. If I were, this conversation would be very different. But I am disappointed. You know better, Owen. Owen's hands curled into fists under the table. I was doing my job. You were. Until it became personal. You're being reassigned, Owen. Owen looked up. It's temporary. 1 month cleaning division. The words landed hard. Cleaning division was where unresolved things went, forgotten things. You're not being punished. You're being reminded. Owen nodded. He didn't argue. There was nothing to argue with. The reassignment began immediately. The cleaning division was quieter than Ouija. Fewer desks, more empty space. Owen was given a cart, a set of tools, and a list of locations. His job was to clear what no longer served a purpose. He had never felt Purgatory so sharply before. But the worst part of it was the silence. No board, no screen, no nightly arrival. When the month ended, Owen was reassigned back to the Ouija division. Desk 43 waited for him unchanged. Owen took his seat and placed his hands on the desk, steadying himself. He told himself to expect nothing, to do his job, and to be ready for whoever came next. The board lit. It wasn't Lily. He handled the session quickly, efficiently, without bending anything, then another and another. Days passed. Days without Lily. Then one night the board flared brighter than usual. The screen flickered on. Lily sat at her table, hands already on the planchette, her expression tight with something that wasn't grief, but anger. "Where have you been?" she said, sharp and immediate. Owen felt the full weight of what he had lost settle into his chest. He knew there was no pretending anymore. The board flared to life. "Where have you been?" Owen didn't answer right away. Instead, he spelled slowly. I was reassigned. Lily stared at the board. "Reassigned where?" "Cleaning division." You should have told me." "I wasn't allowed." I thought you left me." "I kept coming back every night. I sat here and waited." Owen's chest ached. He imagined the table, Lily sitting there through the silence, waiting for him. I almost stopped believing this was real, like I just made it all up. I went back to his room. I slept on his bed. I cried like I hadn't in weeks. "I'm sorry," he wrote. "You were the one person I could talk to where I didn't feel so bad, and then you were gone." I missed you.
I missed you too. Is there any way to see you? In person?
There is one way. It's against the rules.
What is it? What is it?
If you do a seance with someone else, I can step through. Just for a moment.
I could see you? I have a friend, Jenny. She's into this stuff. She says she knows what she's doing.
Owen almost smiled at that. I bet you she doesn't. They didn't say anything else that night. They didn't need to. The plan had been set the moment it was spoken. The next evening, the screen flickered on to show Lily's apartment again, brighter now. Lights turned on in rooms that had stayed dark for weeks. Another woman sat beside her at the table, leaning forward with eager confidence. Jenny talked with her hands, and she smiled easily.
I've done this before. You just had to invite them in properly.
Owen watched from his desk,
every instinct screaming that this was a mistake and every other part of him willing to make it anyway.
The candle was lit, the circle drawn, the invitation spoken. The board flared. Owen felt the pull like a sudden drop, his awareness stretching, thinning, slipping. For a moment there was resistance, a pressure that made him feel too large and too small all at once. And then he was there, inside a borrowed body that didn't fit quite right. Jenny's breath came sharp and unfamiliar. Her heartbeats thundered in his ears. The room felt louder and brighter.
Owen?
Lily asked. He turned toward her, movement stiff and unpracticed. I don't have much time, he said. Lily stood slowly. For a moment they just looked at each other. Owen reached out, his hand shaking as it hovered near her face. The kiss was brief, barely there. A soft press that carried every unsaid thing between them. It hurt in the way something precious hurts when you know it can't last. And then it was over. Owen felt himself pulled back, the borrowed warmth slipping away too fast. Jenny blinked, confused, swaying before catching herself.
Whoa, that was intense.
Lily didn't answer. She just stared, tears running freely now. The session ended. Back at desk 43, Owen sat very still, hands shaken, a brief smile on his face despite everything. It was the widest smile he'd worn in decades. The connection severed. The next night, Lily came at the usual time. Somehow, the systems didn't flag. Supervisor Hector didn't come pay him a visit. The screen turned on, and Lily sat at the table, but she wasn't braced this time. Her shoulders were relaxed. Her hands rested loosely on the planchette.
Hey.
Hello.
You look different. I feel different. I went into his room today, I opened the window, I let the air in.
Owen felt something loosen in his chest.
I moved his shoes.
I'm glad.
I want you to know something. I'm going to be okay. And it's all because of you. I still miss him, I always will, but I don't feel stuck anymore.
You did that work yourself, Lily.
But you helped.
The board dimmed for a fraction of a second, then brightened again, and Owen felt a strange sensation ripple through him. A subtle pull upward that made his focus waver. Lily noticed.
Owen?
He tried to respond immediately, but the planchette resisted him, drifting more slowly than before. Something is happening.
What do you mean?
Owen glanced down. His feet were no longer touching the floor. The realization came quietly, without fear. He looked at his chair, at the space beneath it, and saw air where there should have been weight. The desk felt farther away, like it had dropped slightly, though he knew he was the one moving. The board's glow softened, the letters began to shimmer, edges blurring as if they were loosening from the surface. I think I understand now. Understand what? Owen felt warmth spread through him, not heat, but clarity. Memories he hadn't touched in years stirred and then eased away. The weight he had carried without ever noticing it, it was lifting. I'm being purified. I think I'm moving on. Helping you, yourself, move on, Lily. I think that was my last atonement. I helped you, and you helped me. Is our time over together? I think it is, Lily. I love you. And thank you for helping me. When nobody else would listen, when people pretended to care, you always cared. You're welcome, Lily. And thank you for helping me. I can't stay. I'm feeling the pull upward. I'm feeling the light, the cleansing, the brightness, the warmth, the love. I love you, Lily. Goodbye. Goodbye, Owen. Owen felt the desk slip away beneath him. There was no rush, no sudden pull, just a steady move upward, calm and certain. The hum of Purgatory calmed, softened, quieted, and then went out altogether. Owen felt pure. As he rose, the last of the weight fell away, leaving only warmth and a sense of completion. He thought of Lily one last time, not with heartache, but with gratitude. Then light surrounded him, gentle and welcoming, and Owen let go. Lily sat at the table long after the board went still. She didn't reach for it again. She didn't beg it to light. She placed her hands flat on the wood and breathed. The room felt quiet, but not empty. She stood, carried the board to the closet, and set it on the shelf with care. When she turned out the light and walked down the hallway, she paused outside her son's room. The door was open now, and the air moved freely through it. She stepped inside and picked up one of his shoes and smiled softly. "Good night," she said. And for the first time, she meant it. Hey everybody, Kevin here from Nightmares Nightly. If you made it this far, I want to thank you all for listening. And tell me, have you ever played with the Ouija board before? Did it move? Was it nothing? No more than a party trick? And on top of that, if you were assigned a desk in Purgatory, would you be like Owen